Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Catholic Coffee Talk, a podcast where in between sips, your Catholic questions are answered. I'm your host, Father Brad Doyle, and I have with me our resident good Catholic, Peter Gone. What is happening?
You know, not that much is happening, but that's okay. I wanted to tell you, we got a very nice little listener mail note this past week that I wanted to share with you. Yeah.
Oh, legit. I want to hear it.
I mean, we've gotten a few, but I wanted to share this one in particular. So this is from one of our listeners, clearly, Regina G. She says right off the bat, she says,
just keep it, roll with it. I like it. Right off the flat. It's a new phrase.
Right off the flat, yeah. She says right off the bat, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say how much I love the series, The Holy Mass. And she's, again, talking about the series that we did, 2 years ago now. She says, I'm a returning Catholic, and I'm also going to be doing some other series as well. I loved Father Brad so much that I looked for him on YouTube and found Catholic Coffee Talk. Keep doing it. I thought it was so good. This series are well done, too. I love you all. God bless you. And that just warmed my heart. You know,
I'm going to say, Regina, you know what I'm going to say about you? The people use it on Twitter all the time. They just put Queen. Queen. You know why? Because your name means Queen. Regina G, Queen G, not Queen B, but Queen G. Thank you so much for reaching out and saying how much you've been blessed by the content we're producing. Yeah. So it makes you feel good, Pete. Yeah,
it was good. It definitely gave me the warm fuzzies. And it was good too because it got me thinking about the Holy Mass series, and back when we did that, I don't know what that was, 2018, 2019.
Oh, that was fun. I remember flying a lot back and forth. I remember my haircut being different in the middle of it. If you notice, if you watch the Mass series, my hair might be different because we had to break it up into two sections. And I got a haircut like a doofus in between. I also remember riding a mechanical bull at a honky-tonk after we finished in celebration.
Yeah, I was not there for the mechanical bull, but wish I had been, frankly. Not gonna lie.
Okay,
was
man.
Was that also when I took you to the speakeasy? I don't know, that's a different thing. But.
Yeah. We went all over, the scene in Charlotte.
Yeah,
the Queen City.
The Queen City, Regina. There we go.
Oh my goodness, this is so good. Okay, hey, what's percolating?
At Catholic Coffee, our faith informs everything we do. Like Jesus, we strive to do all things well, so we can deliver a great cup of coffee from our family to yours. We at Catholic Coffee use only fresh, ethically sourced beans and do all of our roasting in small batches by hand right here in the USA. We work hard to craft delicious coffee presented in beautiful packaging that will bring beauty to your home and a prayer to your lips each time you brew a fresh pot. We also donate a portion of each sale to reputable and effective Catholic charities here in the U.S. So this is a purchase you can feel good about. For a limited time, Catholic Coffee is offering 10% off for listeners. Use code COFFEETALK at checkout to get 10% off your order of popular flavors like Our Lady of Guadalupe Mexican Mocha or the St. Michael Dark Roast. That's CatholicCoffee.com. Use code COFFEETALK.
What's percolating? Where the questions percolate in your head, get answers from the church's tradition. Okay, what do we got? What's the question we got?
All right, we got a question from Kathleen. And Kathleen wrote in, and she also kind of gave us this nice little preamble. I mean, she talked about how in the past 2 years that she's grown closer to God, right? She's been reading scripture, she's been doing reflections and all these different things. And she mentioned, again, also, she mentioned Good Catholic, and this, she's been doing some series as well, and she said, this has changed my life. She says, there's a lot more to it, but it's too long to go into here. But I can now understand certain things that my mom used to tell me, yada, yada. She says, the more I learn, the more I want to learn. And she's just really diving into her faith. Okay. So that was some paraphrasing on my part.
I like that phrase, though, that she said, the more I learn, the more I want to learn. It reminds me of Catherine or Sienna. The more I seek you, the more I find you. Mm-hmm. The more I find you, the more I love you. Which I added the music part. Actually, Joby, that Carrie Joby added the music part, but that's Kathleen or Sienna right there. So good job.
So she's like on this journey, and she's just absolutely loving it, and she's diving deeper and deeper. So she says, my question is how do I get my spouse to go on this journey with me without pressuring him? She mentioned that he goes to church with her every week, but, well, that's all she mentioned. So I don't know if he's reluctant or what, or maybe he is just not accelerating or not diving in sort of alongside her. So, yeah, what kind of advice can you offer for Kathleen?
Kathleen, you are not alone in the Christian walk. There's so many people have gone before you, and the human heart is so complex. There's a line in a Andrew Peterson song where it goes, "I climb the hill of the human soul," and I love that line because the human soul is like a mountain. It's complex. It's hard to climb and comprehend, but it's beautiful. And so, like everyone's soul, everyone's personality is so beautiful, and you're on a certain journey. And while you are a one flesh union with your husband, he's still autonomous, and he's got his own journey, and that can be difficult. And there's saints who've experienced this throughout life. I think of the famous one we always think of is Saint Monica, mother of Saint Augustine, whose husband was not for the majority of his life Christian. Saint Augustine himself was pagan-ish, then Manichaean heretic, then Catholic bishop, boss theologian. So that's somebody you can look to in intercession and in prayer and just feel a camaraderie with so many people who have gone before you, St. Monica being one. But to answer your question, how do you move forward? I want to start by recognizing and accepting that evangelizing our family members is very difficult. And that goes for everybody. That goes for, I'm sure like Bishop Barron, his nieces and nephews. I'm sure it's harder for him to evangelize his family, his nieces and nephews, his what have you,
siblings. Yeah, I don't know.
than it is to talk to Jordan Peterson or something. It's like it's like because there's a comfortable separation when you're talking to strangers. Is a comfortable separation with this is this conversation right now and this interaction. I want to dive in, but then I'm not talking to you all the time. There's not all this baggage from the past. There's not this time that I hurt you, you hurt me. It's I'm just meeting you right here. Family has all the baggage. Family has all the history and the intimacy that makes it a little more complex. So it's okay for it to be complex. So I want you to be okay with that,
Yeah.
And secondly, you will not convert your family or your husband. I think that's important to know, or help him grow. It's really not going to be you, and that should give you freedom. It should take a burden off your shoulders to recognize look, it's not you. So when your husband grows in his faith, it's going to be by the grace of God. Right, prevenient grace that we cannot cause or earn. We could be a tool, we could be a vessel for that grace, but ultimately it's not you. So it's not like you have to find the perfect thing to say.
Right, it won't be because she's doing it wrong necessarily. It's because
it's just there's free will involved, and your free will, God's free will, His free will. There's so many free wills. Every free will complicates the issue, and whenever it does happen, it's going to be by God's grace and Him being open. Because you could say the truth, and that's my next point. The goal is not to speak the truth, to say the truth. It's for the truth to be received, which recognizes two people. And that's important, and this isn't you, but I often, you might see, if you go to LSU's campus or a big major university, they have Free Speech Alley or a place where all these people talk. You got the pro-lifers, the pro-choicers, you got the Westboro Baptist kind of people who show up and call everyone, to say they're all going to hell. And I always look at those kind of churches that show up to this, a Free Speech Alley at a liberal college campus and think, I don't know. One, you don't know that everyone's going to hell. And two, your job isn't just to say the truth. They might be quoting a scripture, but in the way you present it, you might be saying the truth, but you're not providing the context necessary for the truth to be received. And that is different.
Yeah. And I just want to kind of dwell on that. I had a different thought, but there's a certain pragmatic concern here that the goal is for that truth to be received. Like you said, it's not just, I said it, now I'm done, my part's over. It's that ultimately the goal And I think, I mean, Kathleen would understand this, but the goal is to have that be well received and hopefully taken to heart. And so it's not just a matter, evangelization broadly isn't just a matter of shouting from the rooftops or throwing, the truth up on social media in order to bait people into a debate, or to lure people into an argumentation or a confrontation of some kind. It's ultimately to have the message went out, not just to have it die in the space between.
Absolutely. And that's where the gift of, or the virtue of prudence, right? So prudence is basically defined as knowing what to say and what to do and when and how. So it's it's what you say and what you do, but it's knowing when to do it and when to say it and how to do it and how to say it, right? So it takes into the context not just the truth of a statement, but the importance of the surrounding context when you say it and how it's said. So it might be prudent to bring something up. I take this for example, like if I'm in a confessional and someone confesses a sin, and I have discerned through my relationship with them or it just in that confessional that, okay, I recognize that that's a sin, I'm going to absolve it. It's the virtue of prudence that regulates whether I bring up further, whether I go deeper with somebody and ask them a further question, or I just say they're not ready to hear that or to be asked that, and I just let that confession be. It's outside of me. It's a gift given by the Holy Spirit, prudence, but you have to discern, when you say stuff, when you don't say stuff. It's not. I think it's the temptation of a lot of people to say that you should always be gung-ho. Like every time someone says something, let's say I meet someone out at a restaurant I'm at, and I just walk up to the bar, I'm waiting for my table, and someone's like, oh, you're a priest and this and that, and they might, they might, like a woman, and she's like, oh, this is my wife, Stacy, it's a gay couple. Prudence would be the virtue that I should take into account should I, in that moment, even though it's true, say, you do know that marriage is between a man and a woman. That is true. That is true. Is it going to be effective in that moment? What in the entire context of Stacy and Lisa's life and their journey towards Jesus Christ, the creator of their souls, is that going to be important for them to hear that from me in that moment, or to me not affirming anything that's evil, but me having a peaceful encounter with a Catholic priest who could love them where they're at, not affirm anything they've done, but that's the gift of prudence, right? Yeah. Where some people don't have that. They would just be like, I can't talk to you, or do you know this? And it's like, okay, we're getting apps here, okay? Anyway, that's just me. I kind of went off the rail. I don't know what's going on, Peter. I'm going off the rails. This is your job. You keep me in line. You keep me in line.
But Father, you're dead on. Prudence matters so much here with evangelization. Okay. It matters so much. It matters more than just knowing stuff and being able to articulate things that are true.
Thank you.
There you go.
Zach, what do you say?
Great, Father.
Woohoo! Okay. And then next, I want you to think back to your own journey, Kathleen. So I often think about this when I'm approaching, because my deeper conversion happened in high school, when I'm approaching high school ministry, I think, what got me? Yeah. Like what was a part of my journey? Like, it doesn't have to be a part of everyone's journey, but being open to helping people encounter the Lord through the sacraments in a similar way. Maybe there's a book that stood out to you, maybe a series, God on Good Catholic, maybe a particular gospel reading or adoration, or it's being invited to confession and he hasn't been invited in a long time. Whatever got you, God used that. So maybe he's going to use that for your husband as well. And if it's been prudent, maybe bring that up.
Yeah, and I would think too, I was thinking a little bit about like sharing things that excite you kind of within marriage or among friends. Like it's so often that the relationship builds when you like get really excited about something, and your spouse may not care at all about that thing, but they'll get into it because you're into it, you know. Or
do you have a weird like what do you like watch a certain show and your wife watches it in any way?
No, not really. Not shows, but like I love history. Right? I studied history, and so if I find out something really random or new, where I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that Venezuela was named after Venice by a bunch of German explorers. It's like, what? And I just like had this kind of mind blown weird moment. And so like, if you were to find out something really cool about your faith, you know, where you have kind of this moment of like, oh, that's really cool. If you share that in that excited moment too, like, oh, like, honey, did you know that, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I can't think of a random fact, but that you're excited in that moment. Like,
honey, did you know that the Lechem Panim in the Old Testament, the Ark of the Covenant, is a typological prefiguration of the Eucharist?
Yeah, but like that. And assuming the husband isn't like hostile to the faith.
I don't think he is, from what you said.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to church every week, right? It's again, prudence. But like that could be a way where you kind of share that excitement kind of in that moment. And you can share and almost teach and kind of catechize a little bit just in those small moments that can kind of open the door a little bit and show the beauty that you've found to someone who maybe doesn't see that same beauty. Yeah.
For true. And my last thing, Peter and Kathleen, was to say, and the last thought I had on it was bring others into the equation. You know, that I try to go this route with, you know, my sister or other people who might not be like, practicing the faith right now. I always say if she's listening, then we're in a good place. So shout out. But I try to bring, like, maybe she won't hear it from me. Maybe I'm not the best person to bring that truth and to express the truth and help her encounter, the Lord and the truth of the church. So I'll try to set up situations, not in a fake way, but in a real way. Like, I have really awesome, amazing friends that are hilarious and she loves, and they're Catholic. So, have those situations of bringing people and surrounding your life with those type of people who are going to be good witnesses to the faith that isn't just you. It's not like you're the crazy person. You're the only crazy Catholic in my life, and like that's for you. But to see other people living it out, I think can be effective.
And I think that's important for your own like spiritual life too.
Not
to
just
have
you.
Your own,
It's the example is lived by other people. And maybe people they respect. Maybe there's someone in your parish or in your community who's Catholic, who's a guy that he respects, and setting up a situation.
Okay, Peter, you think it's time for Bean of the Week?
Let's do it.
Everyone needs a little pick me up. Here is ours. My Bean of the Week is something called aptonyms. Do you know what aptonyms are?
I like the word apt. I like describing things as apt. I don't know if that's what it is. Like
it connects. Yeah, it's
well named.
Yeah, so aptonym is. You're right. It does have the same root, or I think it's a relatively modern word that someone came up with to describe a type of name that fits someone's profession. So a name that fits someone's profession is an aptonym, right? It's apt for them so I wanted to kind of just do a little, just throw out our favorite aptonyms. One of mine is Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt is a great aptonym. Like, and we don't think of it, but then all of a sudden we're like, wow, he's like a sprinter. He bolts. Yeah. Like that's very apt. Or another one would be Tiger Woods. And some people don't understand why that's, but you have irons and you have woods. So Tiger Woods would be a good one. Can you think of any?
Oh, I'm trying to. I don't know if I can though on the spot, man.
So I have like an anti-aptonym, which is Lucas Glover is a golfer who doesn't wear a glove. Like he's one of the only golfers who doesn't wear a glove on his left hand, or on one of his hands, and his name is Lucas Glover, which I think is just hilarious.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
I did a whole Twitter feed on it, and it blew up. It was like 150 different things, and people said like someone from Houston said, oh yeah, my OBGYN's name is Dr. Bump. And it's just like, come on. Someone's optometrist was named Dr. Seymour. It's just, you can't make this up. It's an aptonym.
Yeah.
So if you have an aptonym, if you listener have an apt name for your profession, or know somebody, I want you to email us in and tell us so we could read that out. That would be hilarious.
Absolutely.
So what's your bean of the week, Peter? Mine kicked your butt.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Mine isn't as flashy, but mine's still really helpful. Mine is a book by Peter Kreeft, who is great. If you don't know him, you should. Called Fundamentals of the Faith. And it's like a collection of 50-ish essays of his, all about different Catholic topics. Not even Catholic, Christian topics, like everything from why should we believe in God? Why should anyone believe in God? Down to like why you need to be a Catholic, as opposed to some other denomination. So for someone who is growing in their faith, like you, Kathleen, or someone who is trying to share the faith, like you, Kathleen, this is, I think, a great book to kind of get your foundations right. And while it looks like it belongs in the college like course, it is so easy to read. It is so easy to read. I don't know if you.
Kreeft has a way of doing that. You know what I think it comes down to is that his philosophy classes are all undergraduate. I think most of the classes he taught at Boston College, I think, is where he taught.
He was at BC. Yeah,
he was at BC, and then he also did I think King's College in in the Empire State Building. There's one of the floors is actually a small liberal arts college, but it's something like that. I remember that being the case, and he would travel in every once in a while and be a lecturer at some small liberal arts college in New York. And I think he just enjoyed teaching undergraduates, which is a great thing for a teacher, because it's harder to teach people who might not get it as readily,
Yeah, I mean, knowing stuff is one thing, but being able to articulate it and share it and teach it is another. And when you have someone like Peter Kreeft who can do both, he's he's going to be the smartest person in the room, I think, in pretty much any room he's in. But then he can also
until he gets to the heavenly throne room, and then Augustine's going to backhand him. I'm just joking. I was sorry. We might have to.
That's St. Nicholas.
Oh, that's right. And Augustine would grab St. Nicholas's hand and be like, "No, dude, you can't have that. You can't."
One time. Yeah. Anyway, so fundamentals of the faith, great thing to have on the shelf. You don't have to read it cover to cover. You can pick it up, look at your question, and then get it. So yeah, that's a great thing.
You've been listening to Catholic Coffee Talk with me, Father Brad, and our resident good Catholic, Peter Gone. Coffee Talk is brought to you by the Catholic Company and is part of the Good Catholic Podcast Cooperative. If this episode has blessed you, you can find more content at goodcatholic.com/podcast. As always, we ask you to leave a review, a rating, share the pod with a friend, or simply pray for us and our mission. If you have a question of your own that has been percolating, shoot us an email at askapriest@goodcatholic.com. You can also leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Catholic Coffee Talk. The links are below. We might feature your message on a future episode and answer your questions to the best of our abilities. To quote the psalmist, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Continue to drink deeply from our great faith." We'll talk next week. Peace.